Time is running out.
Welcome to Ear for Fear. This is Donovan,
Hey, and I'm Rick.
and this is the podcast where we talk about scary movies or movies trying to be scary.
Cool. Today we're talking about 2014's Creep. Before you and I jump into this, let's do a quick rundown of what the movie's about. A struggling young videographer answers an online ad for a one-day job in a remote town to record the last messages of a dying man. When he notices the man's odd behavior, he starts to question his intentions. Hey, welcome back there, Donovan. You took a little hiatus, from the podcasting scene.
It hasn't been too long, right?
No,
It's only been 2 weeks.
No,
It's not a hiatus
been-
if I'm like
it's been like a
scheduled
month.
to be gone.
I think it was a month ago.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's been a
Oh.
month.
Okay.
I don't remember what we did. What did we do a month ago? We did Tremors.
Oh, yeah.
Tremors, yeah.
Yeah.
Great flick.
Good movie.
Yeah, so welcome back. Not a lot has changed since you've been gone. We're still stuck in this 2020
Mhm.
just seems to never end.
Yeah. Yeah. What sucks is I think 2020 is going to go into 2021,
Ugh,
which
God,
is the worst part.
that's what really sucks.
Yeah.
But hey, I guess on a positive note, you're starting a new job. We won't mention any companies, but that's a good thing.
Yeah. It's
Pretty exciting for you.
Yeah, I start tomorrow actually from when we're recording this, and it's, a little scary, a little nerve-wracking. I've already said goodbye to my old company, which was, a little hard.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. The work itself seems to be a little interesting, and that's exciting to me, even though I've heard it's quite hard and challenging. But, new office, new people,
New
like,
challenge.
new
Challenge for you.
Honestly, it's not even that. It's like
No?
the office etiquette, because you get used
Oh,
to like
yeah.
one office,
It's true.
and then it's like things, there's a whole bunch of different people and different management, and we'll see how all that goes.
I think you're going to do great. You're a smart kid. I call you kid because you're my kid, but you're approaching 30 here, which is just nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're gonna do fine. It's gonna be good for you.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah. So 2014's Creep. You picked this, but it was kind of like a spur of the moment thing, right?
Yeah, we were originally gonna do The Wailing, but I think we didn't want to go somewhere so dark, so heavy, right?
Yeah.
And then so we picked a movie that was shorter, like lengthwise, and we're like, okay, how dark can a movie be when it's only 80 minutes long?
Yeah.
And it turns out, well, it could actually be pretty dark.
Yeah. So
we did spare ourselves like another hour of misery, but this movie was pretty uncomfortable to watch too.
it was.
Yeah.
So initial react. So you and I watched this last night, but we didn't talk about it at all because I always like to just ask you, when we sit down and do this, what did you think about this? Did you like this?
I think we went into the movie saying there was only two actors, and that's basically right? There's like
Basically, yes, that's it. Two guys.
there's like a voice that we hear on the phone later on in the film, but basically it's only two physical people on camera at any one point. And I was like, that's interesting. But the problem with that is that you have to be a really good actor to sell it. And I thought the character who plays Jonathan, like
Oh, you mean Joseph?
Joseph, sorry.
Joseph, yeah, it's okay.
Like killed it.
He was really good.
Yeah, and the guy playing Aaron, I thought was just kind of like okay.
Well, Aaron, yeah. So two guys, and one of them is actually the director of this film, which is Aaron.
Okay.
Aaron's the actual director of this movie. So I give him a pass because he's busy directing this thing and kind of being a co-star,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And Joseph was fantastic. I don't know if we've ever seen this guy before or
He
ever
reminds
since.
me of Ron Livingston.
Ron Livingston? No, hold on a second. Which?
The guy from Office Space. Am I getting his name wrong?
From Office? Oh, I know who you're talking about. I don't know if that's his name. Is that his name? You're probably right. The actual star of Office Space.
Mm-hmm.
Really? You know who he kind of reminded me of? And you're not going to know this at all.
Yeah,
but
I got his name right.
You got his name right? Okay, my bad. He kind of looked like to me like a younger version of Dom Irrera. And will have no idea who Dom Irrera is, but he was a comedian. He's a lot older now, but he was kind of popular a little bit in the 80s and maybe early 90s. Not super popular like some of these big comics, but enough to that's who he looked like to me. So every time we're watching him, it reminded me of a young Dom Irrera. And our audience going to go, who the hell is Dom Irrera?
Yeah,
but look him up.
That guy.
Look him up.
Yeah, what's interesting is like there's obviously preconceptions that go into a movie, or I'm sorry, not a movie, but when you look at a person and if the person's attractive, like this guy is, you tend to like give them a little bit more of a benefit of a doubt than you probably should. And this guy's behavior is pretty weird right from the get-go. But you're like, okay, maybe he's just like an eccentric, nice guy.
Yeah.
You know, he obviously seems to be doing well for himself. He has a family supposedly, and you know, he's handsome.
Yeah.
So you kind of like create a narrative in this head explaining or justifying some of his behavior. And then, you know, obviously that gets broken away or teared down as we watch the movie. But so you know, two people, one actor is really good, the other, and despite him being the director, he's still acting in the movie, right?
Yeah.
The other one, he's okay.
He's okay.
So whenever Joseph is on screen, I'm like all for this movie.
Yes.
Whenever Aaron is on the film, and he's probably got like 15 minutes of like actual screen time. You know, it's just kind of like, okay.
Yeah, I found as towards the end of the movie when we saw more of Aaron, it was kind of boring for me. Like, he wasn't believable to me.
He doesn't lack. Yeah. He doesn't have the screen presence that Joseph
doesn't,
has.
and that's okay. And like I said, I give him a pass because he's the director of this movie, and I think it's a pretty good movie. You know, I had seen the poster for this, never saw the movie. And then when you recommended it, I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of remember the poster for that, but I don't think I ever saw a trailer for it. Didn't know anything about it, so we went into this blind, and I thought it was pretty good. I liked it. I thought it was a good movie. It was Joseph is quite the character Joseph is eccentric would be a good word. You know, we definitely get these weird vibes from him by some of the stories he tells and his some of the stuff that he does during the movie. But you know, you could chalk this up as to just, you know, this, you know, the story we get from him is that he's dying. He's got like 2 to 3 months to live. He's got a brain tumor. Who knows? I mean, you know, a brain tumor, you know, it could be doing some stuff to the way you're acting and the way, you know, or the way you're interacting with Aaron and stuff. You know, you don't know what it could do. And so look, I mean, right off the bat, we're thinking, yeah, the dude's probably lying, but let's give him the benefit of the doubt. And, you know, and as this thing plays out, it's just, it doesn't get like super like dark for me until towards the latter of the movie. It's such a short movie. I think it's 70 minutes-ish, 70 something minutes. So I would say the last maybe 20 minutes. And the other stuff is, you know, there is some freaky stuff happening here with stories and stuff, especially the whole wolf mask that we'll get to later. But, you know, what did they call this? A found footage psychological horror film? Would you call it that? Is that sound about right?
Whenever you come to these movies, it's always weird because it's like you quote unquote find the footage, but like who's putting it all together? And we'll talk about that a little bit later. So there's always this question of, well, did the character survive? And he's the one editing everything together to then show to other people, you know, or did some rando person come in, find the footage, edit it all together, or how am I watching this? Basically,
Yeah.
how was the footage found? So, that's the like benefit to a found footage film. And if you can't answer that question appropriately throughout the movie, then you kind of like screwed up
Yeah.
because otherwise, why would it be a found footage film? Outside of, you're confined to this perspective of the person with the camera. So we'll get more into that a little bit later. I think the movie does a pretty good job of answering that question, actually. What was your question again?
Just would they're characterizing this as
Right.
found footage psychological horror film, and I guess I would. That's pretty accurate, right? I mean, I don't know what else you would call this. I mean,
the movie doesn't go out of its way to like inflict bodily harm to its characters ever, really.
Not really.
Yeah. So it's basically all just talking and being afraid of what a character might do as opposed to what he will do. Or I'm sorry, is doing. So like take a movie like, I don't know, let's just say like Nightmare on Elm Street or Halloween, where the horror is like physical bodily harm to the character. And, that's established through physical bodily harm. But in this movie, it's all the threat of that. And we don't actually see that really ever. So it's like, it's playing on that psychological aspect of what could happen to me, why hasn't it happened to me, and so your mind is constantly trying to fill in this last puzzle piece. But the puzzle keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you can't do that until the very end of the movie, anyway.
Yeah.
So it's that genre. I think is right on the money. Is this as like psychologically thrilling as maybe like A Tale of Two Sisters? No, but I think the horror is also very different because I think this movie is trying its best to, establish itself in reality. Like what if you did come across this stalker-esque persona that was unpredictable, and, how much benefit of a doubt would you give this person based on like your own empathy and how believable this person is when they're, finally, quote unquote, getting rid of the facade. So and I think this movie is quite effective. You're never quite sure where Joseph lies on anything really, especially when we get into, like 30 minutes in, we get to what would be like the end of the day, and then Joseph starts to, reveal a little bit more about his personality, and then later on in the movie, we, like what is true and what isn't. Right.
Yes.
So there's a lot of like interesting things this movie is doing that I think does really well. And what I thought was cool is this movie establishes a timeline, like 8 hours, one day.
Yeah.
Once this day's over, we're done. But the movie keeps on going, like after that day is over. So you're expecting whatever is bad is going to happen to Aaron to happen at that night.
Yes.
But it doesn't. So, I think that's a really smart thing that this movie does. And it's, one of a few really smart things I think this movie does and makes it quite good, in my opinion, and worth watching. So anyway, to get back to why we watched this movie's actually been on my radar for a very long time.
Oh, okay.
I think I get this movie mixed up with the one Elijah Wood is in, where he also plays like a
Maniac?
Maniac.
Which is a remake.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I get these two films mixed up. I keep thinking that this movie is Maniac or Creep or whatever. Like I just get them mixed up in my head.
Yeah.
But the shot of him on the stairs at night, I've known about that shot for years, and it's a really good shot. It's very scary.
It is that
intimidating.
Light, the light hitting his body, and then the casting almost like a shadow. It's like this dark figure, and
it's just he's a black silhouette full of mystery. It's really like in tune with the movie.
And the only thing I remember again was the poster. I think that's the only thing I ever remember seeing about this movie was the poster. Don't think I ever read about it, saw anything on it, And so when you showed it to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. So now let's watch it. Neither of us had ever seen it, so it's like, let's give it a shot. It had got good reviews, good ratings, right? We don't necessarily do a movie because of the ratings, but it doesn't hurt sometimes when a lot of people across the board are saying, hey, it's pretty good, But I thought it was for super low budget. I'm sure. I don't know what the budget was. Had to be super low, probably in the 20, 30,000 range, maybe even less. two guys. It looks like when Aaron's driving up, to go, because I think he's going to get paid $1,000. He's struggling, right? He needs money, and so it's like, I don't know if I would do something like that. I guess if you're in need of some cash because you're a struggling videographer, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'd go meet a complete stranger kind of out in this little small town in the middle of nowhere, in the mountains at least, by myself. But okay, I would almost say, hey, buddy, come with me. I'll give you $100. I keep 900 just so I don't get murdered. But it's funny because he gets there. It's kind of up on a hill. I mean, to me, it almost spanked of something from, say, Lake Tahoe, or something like that. He goes up these stairs, and of course, right off the bat, there's no answer. No one's at the door, but he sees that the axe, almost like the foreshadowing of this thing, like we know at some point down the road, this axe is going to come into play. And, he goes to wait down in his car. And then we get the immediate, introduction to Joseph, which is a jump scare. That got me. Did it get you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that got me.
Basically every jump scare in the movie with Joseph got me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really like immediately it's like it's the banging on the car window, and he doesn't look, he doesn't look, I don't know, weird right off the bat. I mean, I guess, he's wearing like a jumpsuit. Looks like he just maybe, I don't know, took a run, right? I mean, took a run.
But then it's like, that's all he wears.
That's all he wears. Yeah. And so he's, he gives them, they go up to the house, and he basically tells him, hey, look, Aaron, I'm dying. I think he said he had cancer. He beat it with chemo, and he's got a brain tumor now. Got 2 to 3 months to live. I have a wife. She's pregnant, and I want to do a video of kind of like my last days, so I have something to show my son. And which is, I mean, it's believable to me. This is supposedly a vacation home, right? Is that what this is? This is supposedly a vacation home of him. We find out from him that he's supposedly well off. He has money. Again, as this plays out, we realize that Joseph is just a very good liar.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but I mean, I don't know, Aaron, he's very touchy, hugging Aaron, high fives, and then we immediately go to, which right off the bat, I mean, if you're getting a weird vibe about this guy, your next, the first footage you're filming is him in the bathtub. That's, dude, I don't know, man. Immediately I think I'm out. Here's your grand back. I don't need $1,000 that bad,
Yeah. And I think it's, it comes back to this question of, how trusting should you be to a complete stranger?
Yeah.
How, like, what's the benefit of the doubt? Like, how much benefit of the doubt can you give to a person who's constantly acting like outside of societal norms, right?
Yeah.
So like this guy is stripping in front of you, but he did say that he wants you to film everything. So did you just not read into that appropriately? So really it's probably your fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's like putting these questions into your brain and like, whoa, dude, this is okay, right? And I'm even asking if you're comfortable.
Yeah.
Right. I said, let's do everything. Right. And then he's giving him hugs, high fives. He's trying to put him at ease and try to get him in like this comfortable space. So like when he does push the boundary, it's like, well, I've done everything I could for you, man. So do you want to keep going a little bit further? And then of course the answer is yes. Of course, like we're going to find out later that Joseph probably used to this type of behavior because he's always testing the boundaries of everyone he meets.
Yeah.
And that's because he's looking for that right person. So any person who's going to go through that is basically like a nice delicacy for him. It's like a nice little treat.
So do you think if Aaron originally just was like, yeah, dude, I don't think I'm comfortable with this, not necessarily leaves, but so I guess what I'm trying to say is, so as Aaron allows these things to happen, Joseph gets more excited. Is that what you're kind of?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like this is all like let's just go ahead and say the spoiler warning now, so
Yeah.
we don't have to skirt around anything anymore.
Yeah.
So if you want to watch the movie, just know that we really like it, and we both recommend it, I believe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So Joseph is basically creating like a nice marinated steak of a human, through like the guise of like friendship and like a relationship with this person. And he does it by making them reveal intimate details about them, hugging them, high-fiving them, basically establishing any sort of rapport he can. So getting naked, that's one thing.
Mm.
Revealing an ashamed story, that's another thing.
Yeah.
Clipping their hair, it's another,
Yeah.
like basically how empathetic can I get this person to be towards me? And all that is just a nice spice on this like constantly marinated steak for him.
Yeah.
So the more he can make this person believe that he is an okay person, despite everything,
Yeah.
that's better for him.
It's
Because
like-
he's
it's more-
basically trying to create a very trusting like friendship.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like all these things fits his bill, because as we find out later on, he's done this before. And he's just a psycho, and so all of these things kind of checks off his box, right? So like you're saying, like it gets him excited. It's all in this.
It's fun for him. It's I don't think it's like a sexual thing, but it's like he says later on in the movie that he likes to act.
Yeah.
He's a pathological liar.
Yes,
He's
yeah.
constantly lying and inventing things, and he couldn't do that and this is whether or not you believe anything he's saying, right? And I think it's totally okay to not. But if let's just say we give it a little bit of truth, which I think the movie's playing on this idea again, and it's putting us in Aaron's shoes. It's very interesting. But anyway, let's just say we get a little nugget of truth that he is a pathological liar. He does like to invent things, and he has seen like professionals to have diagnosed him.
Yeah.
And that we believe that him trying acting didn't work out for him because it wasn't quote unquote real. So he wants to create like quote unquote real relationship through his own invented falsehoods. And because he gets off on that in whatever way that means. I don't think it's purely sexual, but I like to think of it like a nice juicy steak.
Mm.
If you're really craving like a steak, it's not going to be satisfied until you get a nice bite and chew it and swallow it, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that. And so like creating this friendship based on all of his lies is what gets him going. And any person who can be receptive to that in any sort of degree is good. And the more they are receptive to it, the juicier his steak is.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my reading on his character.
I didn't look. It's funny. I didn't really think about that when we watched it last night. Now that we're talking about it, it makes complete sense.
So like,
it's.
Hold on. Sorry.
Yeah.
So
No,
like,
it's okay.
just to answer your question. So if Aaron left, I think that's a bad steak. I'm not going to like bother with that.
Yeah.
Maybe he'd try to get his $1,000 back because he essentially has like, he doesn't need like another $1,000, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he just needs to pay the $1,000 and that's it. And just get it back later, right? So yeah, I think if Aaron left, well, that's good. That's bad meat.
Yeah. It's just not worth my time. It's not worth the kill or the excitement that I'm going to get. Like every sociopath or killer or, psycho has their own vice kind of. They do certain things. They follow certain patterns. And so if, let's say a previous victim, maybe it was a little different, but similar, and if it just didn't work, it didn't work. And then he just moves on to the next one. And as Aaron kind of sticks around, it's like, okay, I got, this is going to be a good one, and as he says later on in the movie, it was his favorite because he, it's Aaron wants to see the good in everyone, and he just can't see past this complete lie of the psychopath, and that's of course his downfall, and it's sad in a sense,
I think it's very human for a lot of people to want to trust someone. And so despite everything that we've seen with Joseph, he wants to still trust Joseph, especially when he's like putting on an act, which is probably an act anyway, of him saying or explaining things and saying, hey, can you come down here so I can explain it further?
Yeah.
Because he believes that Joseph is a good person at the end of the day, who was like a very like a troubled person, but a good
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah,
It-
I think, I don't know if I want to necessarily want to believe that, good people are constantly being punished, but that's a thing we see in real life all the time. So I don't like fault this movie for taking that stance.
yeah.
Um,
It's a very human emotion. Like as you know this of me, I'm a very cynical person. And so there's a lot of people out there that see things a different way than I do. The glass half full situation versus a glass half empty. I've tried to change that over the years, but I've been most of the time a glass half empty guy. I'm very cynical. It's like most of the time I don't believe you. You really got to do a lot of things for me to trust you. But there's so many other people that think the opposite of that, and so it's a human emotion to want to trust someone and think there's good in someone, but there isn't. There's a lot of bad people out there. And Joseph, even though this is a movie, Joseph is one of those bad people that they prey on the good people. And he preyed on Aaron.
See, I think, there are a lot of bad people out there. I think most people generally are good. It's just the people that are.
You are right. There is a small percentage of bad, and those are the ones that the ones we always hear about.
Right. Or they're the ones that have the most money, the most power, whatever. And so, it's a bad worldview, and I wish it wasn't true. But, Joseph is definitely part. See, how like wealthy is Joseph actually? He
That's
seems
the
to be
thing.
like well off.
Yeah.
Does he have no money? But he seems to have his own house, maybe, because like where else would you put all of your video?
Exactly.
I say
Yeah.
videotapes, but like DVDs or whatever of all the people that he's.
Yeah.
And so to get back to that question really fast of like who put this together. Well, it has to be Joseph. He must have somehow got all the footage that Aaron was filming, and then all of his footage, splice it all together, and now he has like an 80-minute movie to check out whenever he wants to. And Aaron's his favorite, so he can just go back and rewatch the same movie we did.
Yes.
Right.
I think as it ended, that's what I would kind of thought of that.
And we see like in his little armoire, like there's a lot of these tapes.
Oh, yes.
So there's probably like a bunch of creep movies out there, right?
Yeah.
That
Yes.
starred Joseph.
Yes. From what I understand, they did a sequel to this, and then I think they're doing a third one, but we only saw the first one.
I mean, you could easily do that with this guy.
Oh, absolutely.
But the problem is that's boring because the stories was every subsequent story.
I don't know, but I mean, is he well off? Like, does he have money? Does he work a regular job? It's curious. This psycho, who maybe works an office job and makes maybe makes good money, and maybe it's an important job. I don't, and he's hiding from all of that, and usually sociopaths are good at hiding. They can blend in. Good example would be Dexter. Dexter was good at hiding. He was good at blending in,
as long as we're talking about fictional characters, sure.
Yeah.
Right. Because that helps fit the
But
narrative.
any sociopath really is very, if you go back and you watch documentaries or interviews, I mean, they're always very good at blending in.
Yeah. What's that guy, Ed Kemper?
Yeah.
I think we talked about him before. I don't know about on the podcast.
No, I don't think we have on the podcast, but just in general.
But yeah, if you you can go, there's plenty of interviews with Ed Kemper, just on YouTube, they filmed him for a while. And there's a story of him conditioning another serial killer with I forget what it's called, but basically punishing him whenever he's being bad and rewarding whenever he's being good. And then Ed Kemper, as he tells that story, he's very he's almost likable.
He is.
And it's very, so, I think the more successful people out there are going to be able to cue in, or maybe just, a natural product of, them being smart on social cues and what it takes to be a charismatic person.
Yeah.
Ed Kemper fits that bill. I'd even go as far to say Joseph in this movie fits that bill. He's weird and he pushes the boundaries of social norms, but he's handsome, he seems to be well off. So you tend to be, okay, he's just a weird guy. And so everything else about him is really positive.
Yeah.
So I want to give him that benefit of the doubt. So he's a charismatic person. And, so anyone who's able to continue talking and give you a sense of who they are, but regardless of whether that's true or not, you tend to put trust into them
Yeah.
because he's the one controlling the narrative through his words. And so Joseph is really good at that. And we call those charismatic people.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's more like scientific terms to that. But yeah, Joseph does that along with Ed Kemper. And so that's why he's able to wrap these people in like his web.
Yes. Yeah. It's right on the money. They're very good at that. So where do we want to, I mean, where do we want to kind of like maybe, we started a little bit already, we talked a little bit about the beginning of the movie. Do we want to, we had that bathtub scene was a little weird, of course it was meant to be that, the idea here is we don't know a lot of this stuff until later in the movie, but Joseph is, he's supposedly dying and he wants to do a bathtub, like, since he's not going to be there for his son, it's like giving him his first bath. And I don't forget what he called it, tubby or something like that. I don't know. It was, I don't know. It was very strange. And, but again, we could chalk this up to him being eccentric and he's dying and all these things. And so, at first, I don't know if I would have filmed it, but if you're Aaron, yeah, I could see this. I mean, he wants to film all this stuff in 8 hours. He wants to do all these things. And so, it's plausible, I guess, So we got that scene. I think they got I think the next scene is he's telling Aaron about this. They're on a drive and they're going to go into the mountains and supposedly it's a some sort of like, what is it, like a springs or something, like a small little, I don't know if it's I don't know what you call it, a stream or something like that, where it supposedly has healing powers. Again, all of these things are plausible. Whether you believe that or not, whether you believe there's a stream, like it's like the fountain of youth or something. It's like, oh, this stream or these springs, have healing powers. And so it's like, okay, well, I'm filming this guy. I'm going to go, whatever. So they do that. They go on this kind of hike but in the meantime, Joseph's doing stuff that, come on, I mean, as a viewer watching the movie, we're catching these things, and it's like, Aaron's, I don't know, man, he's feeling a little, uneasy, right? I mean, Joseph disappears into the woods and then scares the shit out of him, It's like, oh man, I don't know, but again, it's just all these things. It's like, I'm not sure yet, at least if you're Aaron's perspective, you and I watching this going, yeah, this dude's nuts, dude, you need to leave now.
Yeah. And we brought this up before, you're watching a horror movie.
Exactly.
And I think when you're watching a certain type of movie, you know what to expect to a certain degree. Like, there's going to be a confrontation between Joseph and Aaron. You don't know if Aaron's going to die or Joseph is going to die, but something is going to happen at some point. And that all of Joseph's behavior is leading to that.
Yeah.
So, I think sometimes I wish that you can just watch a movie with zero preconceptions.
Yeah.
But it's impossible. Even the title of the movie is going to clue you in on what you're watching because it's called Creep.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't escape the fact that what you're watching is like an inevitability of violence.
I think it's whether the journey that, when we sit down and we watch the movie for whatever it is, hour and a half, let's call it 90 minutes. It's that journey that we kind of take along with this film and whether we believe it and whether it's effective and, and this was, we know we've seen enough of these to know this probably isn't going to end well for Aaron, but it's, we're going to enjoy the ride while we're on it, so.
Yeah. It's funny. Like this movie was pretty uncomfortable for me, but I still enjoyed it. Isn't that funny? This movie is like doing its best job to make me uncomfortable. I'm like, oh yeah, they're doing a good job. I like this.
Yeah.
Like it's funny how, we can, how we can let movies do that to us. Because we do that with horror movies too. Like, I want to be scared. In this case, like it's, like I know this movie's trying to make me uncomfortable and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, we have the Peach Fuzz story. That's the uncomfortable.
Peach Fuzz.
We have multiple Peach Fuzz stories, really.
Yeah.
The dad stuff with the song. which I wonder if that was improvised.
That seemed improvised to me.
But I'm talking about like not the actor. I'm talking about Joseph, the character.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That seemed very improvised. Like he's trying to figure out how to. I think it's just like, again, it's all part of his lie and his act. And so when he's singing, he's putting on this wolf mask and just, comes up with like a kind of a lie off the top of his head. I got to address this with Aaron, and how can I address this and somewhat put him at ease. Oh, it's something, with my dad and blah, blah, blah. And then he starts singing the song, and dude, that song it made absolutely no sense. There was no rhyme to it. I think a believable song has some sort of rhyming in it, and it had none of that. It just seemed like, what is he talking about?
It's like in Good Will Hunting where Will is like naming all his brothers and sisters, and you're not quite sure if you believe him or not. Yeah. So like the girlfriend's like, well, can you say that again? And he does. Yeah. It was like, can you just like do that song over for me again?
Yeah, right.
Just to see if he's full of bullshit or not.
Yeah.
So like, I'm curious if that mask was, because I think like Aaron says, oh yeah, this was a rental. Now, how often has he rented this particular place before? And if he hasn't, was that mask just there, or is that like his mask that he brought to the rental? I'm curious about that.
That's actually that's a good question. Hell, I don't know. I mean, because my guess is I would think that if you are a psycho killer and you've done this before, you're not renting the same place over and over again because people would be able to track you. Aaron could have simply had texted his mom, hey, Mom, I'm heading up to this such and such place. Here's the address, to do this 8-hour thing. So my guess is Joseph has never rented that same place. And I think towards the end, when he gets that call, he was going by a different name. Wasn't it Bill or was, So we don't even know if Joseph is his real name. Maybe it is. I don't know. I don't remember when his sister called. Did she say Joe? I don't remember. So my guess is he just uses just whatever name he feels like using, and at this particular instance, he was Joseph, and he probably goes from, who knows, he has a house somewhere, and I mean, this rental could have been so far away from where he actually lives, So yeah, that could have been just off the cusp. How do I explain this wolf mask here? Okay, well, let me put it on and let me run with it. I don't know. That's just a guess. I don't know. I don't know the answer to it, but
the reason I bring it up is because the only reason he would probably wear it when he's, chopping wood with Aaron's head is because he found it in the closet, right?
And it's part of this.
Yeah, it's part of this Aaron's story for him.
Yeah. So
it now becomes like a prop in that story, and it's tied inextricably to Aaron. So he would wear it when he's killing him, But otherwise, like maybe that mask didn't mean anything beforehand.
Nothing.
But it's because it's tied to Aaron, we see it so many times throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like why I bring it up. I think that's like an interesting question.
I like that
because with how we know about Joseph, I don't see him like reusing stuff over and over again. Because as soon as he does that, it's not personal anymore. It just becomes part of his like thing. But his thing is to actually create a thing with a person.
Yes.
So it has to be unique every single time.
It's that connection he has with that particular individual, and that mask is part of Aaron. So his next victim could have been, who knows what it could have been. I don't know. Some insert here some sort of item, a belt or a rope or whatever the F it could have been, could have been a vase, who knows, but it was relevant to that particular victim, the next victim, and I think that's a damn good way of looking at it. I think you're right. I mean, because it seemed right off the cusp to me when he was singing that song. I'm like, what the hell? It makes no sense. None of it,
But I think you can almost believe it when he's like doing that song because Joseph is so weird. So it's like, okay, maybe his dad was also super weird. You know what I mean? Especially when he was like talking about like the tubby scene, and this is what my dad used to do. And that's like the really smart thing the movie's doing is like everything's just so weird. So you kind of like believe it.
You do. I mean,
it's like
I had when he's telling.
But again, sorry.
Yeah,
but because what movie you're watching, most of this has to be bullshit. So it's like, what do I believe here, right?
Yeah, but it's true. It's true. What is he lying about? And was like, could some of the stuff with the dad been truthful? And that's what made Joseph so creepy and kind of psycho. I don't know. So maybe there is some truth to his stories, the tub stuff, or I don't know. But anyways,
Yeah, it's possible that, like there's this nurturing bit of abuse. So maybe he learned, to lie and to abuse people as a, like from his dad. It's possible.
it's possible. I don't
Maybe
know.
there's like a creep zero out there that's like his dad.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or it's just something that he just became as he got older, and it just
Yeah.
gets off on it.
It definitely doesn't need to be explained. Typically,
No.
these things are scary when they're not explained.
Exactly. That's what I love about it.
Right.
You and I could sit here and talk about it. We could bounce stuff off, and maybe we're right on, and maybe we're way off. But it's it's just us bullshitting. But we could talk a little bit about the whole hike, and do you think that Joseph just had never been out there before and was just taking Aaron on a wild goose chase and just happened to come across, like it was a pleasant coincidence, this heart-shaped water thing that he was talking about? I mean, was it,
I think the way Joseph operates, yeah, like he says it's a miracle. I think like Joseph, the person, is probably like, yeah, this actually is pretty crazy. What's funny though, when I saw that rock, it looked more like a skull to me, like half of a skull.
Did it really?
Because you had like an indent that looked like an eye, and then you had the heart shape that had the water in it.
Yeah,
but that looked like the nose to me. And then of course, like you didn't see like. And then like the other half was gone. So it looked like half of a skull.
Interesting. And I saw a heart immediately.
See, that's funny. I only saw the heart when I looked for it. I saw the skull first.
Isn't that funny how people view stuff differently? It's like, do you remember those? It's probably before your time, but remember those? They used to, it was a piece of art. And if you stared at it long enough,
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I could never see the image, but other people could see it immediately.
There's just the internet these days. You see that stuff all the time, So I've seen
I wonder what it says about you and I, because normally I think I would have saw the skull and you saw the heart, but you saw the skull and I saw a heart. Well, I wonder what that tells us about it.
See, the thing is, was that intentional or not? Or was that just like a coincidence again for like the filmmakers making the movie? Because that looked very much like a skull to me.
Oh.
And then of course the heart was there too.
Yeah.
Now they don't actually go into that heart, I think.
No.
So like that could have all been CG, but like really good CG, or maybe some sort of weird compositing going on.
Yeah.
But it looked good.
It did.
I did not think it was real.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's possible that it was a skull and a heart at the same time. I don't know. A 2-man team, at least when it comes to filming it, like who knows?
Yeah. That's interesting. But there's that. I think the relevance behind I think what I'm trying to get at is they have this, in Aaron's eyes, he's not sure if Joseph is just BSing him. And then they find it. And it's almost like this connection that they share, finding this, let's say this heart-shaped, whatever this is, this body of water. And then there's the kind of a bond between them. They're in you see the cameras put down on a rock, and you see them, playing, kind of almost like playing in the water, and almost like a baptism, so to say, and it's that immediate connection. And I think, Joseph is getting off on this. It's like, oh my God, this is great. Like that steak analogy you're given, And
I think for Aaron, like that informs the rest of his relationship and the benefit of the doubts that he's given to Joseph for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
That one little like connection right there in the water. For sure.
Yeah. And so the next scene we get is they're back at they're at some, I don't know, probably, I'm going to say like a little local cafe or restaurant, and they're having breakfast. And then you get this, Joseph supposedly is from this area, so he should know exactly what's, I mean, look, if you've regulared a restaurant or cafe, you know exactly what the menu is. You know what your go-to is. I mean, you and I are creatures of habit, man. When it comes to food, we know exactly what we want. So it seemed a little strange to Aaron that, Joseph made a reference. Oh, what do they got here? And
and this brings up the question of whether or not like he's used that rental before. Probably not now.
No,
because
I
he would have
think
probably
so.
been to that diner before.
Yeah, and would have known. But
Yeah.
he, the way he's looking at this menu is like he has no idea. But I mentioned pancakes earlier, so I got to get pancakes. But then they start sharing. They start sharing a story where Joseph asks, Aaron to kind of, again, to get personal, like, tell me, one of your most embarrassing, I guess moment.
He said ashamed.
Ashamed. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's important because embarrassed and ashamed are different.
True.
Yeah. So he tells a story about how he like urinates his pants, and like his mom put a monitor on him, so when it detected moisture in his pants, it would go beep 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 beep. Yeah, and so that's he tells that story, and then Joseph tells the story of how he was taking pictures of him when Aaron was in his car and going up to the house to find Joseph. Before they met.
That's unsettling, man.
Yep.
That's it's like all the other stuff I could chalk up to whatever, but this I don't know if I could get overlook that. That's, I don't know, man. That's crossing over some boundaries there, But again, it's how far can Joseph, push this thing to see if Aaron's going to, leave or, and that's what this all is
Again,
about.
like every single time he pushes Aaron, that's him marinating the steak.
Yeah.
Putting the spice on there, tenderizing it, all that stuff.
Yeah. It's this excitement that builds for him. And it's just, he can't wait for a payoff, So we're back at the house. It's now dark. This point, Aaron needs to leave. But Joseph talks him into a drink. I don't remember what it was. Whiskey or something.
I mean, he's almost like pleading at that point. He's like, please just come on up here, right?
Yeah.
And
it's, and again, it's the human side, it's like, God, I'm sure it's okay. And the guy is dying and it's okay, I'm just going to have a drink with him, even though I think Aaron knows just to leave, he can't do it. And so they have a drink. And then of course we get that story. That's when the camera goes off, right?
Well, before that, like they share a drink, right? I think it's already happened at this point.
Yeah, they have a drink. Yeah.
Now, this is curious now that we've seen the rest of the movie. He takes a drink, Aaron. Joseph doesn't. Like he puts it up to his mouth, but he doesn't drink it.
No.
Now, I think you and I both thought it was drugged.
Yeah, we did.
It turns out it wasn't drugged.
No.
But, did he not want to take a drink at that point because he had different plans?
I don't know.
Did he want to remain sober for whatever reason? I think that's like an interesting question. I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know either. I mean, because
was his original plan to do something to Aaron that night and then things just got out of hand and he didn't, or he changed his mind? Like there's definitely some weird stuff going on with him not taking that drink at that point because he does take drinks later.
Maybe. Do you think maybe it was like he wanted to get Aaron drunk or drunk enough to not go anywhere, and then during that evening something was going to happen? Maybe was his plan?
Maybe. And maybe that's his typical MO, but it didn't work out that way.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
But, so he adjusted it, and then maybe that's why Aaron is also so special, because, instead of it being like a one-day thing, it turned out to be a multiple day thing.
Stretched out.
I don't know. It's definitely interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we get the Peach Fuzz rape story with his quote unquote wife,
which is a complete lie.
It has to be a lie.
But the whole thing is a lie. Yeah.
It has to be.
He again brought in the mask. I think he's good at times. Sometimes he's bad at improvising. Other times he's really good. And I think he completely improvised this whole story.
I mean, maybe he could also have been telling like a story that he did to someone else.
And just changed certain
but changed it to his wife,
Could be.
And then invented things like, saying that she had a good night, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like he's making things uncomfortable for Aaron.
Yeah.
Because he wants Aaron to move past that and be like, okay, can you still be friends with me?
Yeah.
Like there's a very dark moment. Are we still friends?
Yeah.
And of course, when Aaron eventually turns around later on in the movie, like, okay, despite knowing that, and then of course even that night, like, okay, let's have another drink,
Yes.
Let's still finish this thing,
because Aaron can't find his keys,
right? But the point is like, okay, I'm not running away at this point after that story.
Yeah.
And so like for Joseph, it's like, okay, that's some more spice on the meat or whatever, it's a juicier steak now.
Yeah.
So And then of course Aaron just wants to get the hell out of there.
Yeah, and he can't find his keys anywhere, and Joseph convinces him to basically stay the night, which Aaron, Aaron's very uneasy. He's uncomfortable. He wants to leave, but at the same time he's not trying to be a complete asshole jerk about this whole thing. Because he can't find his keys, and he ends up, they have a drink, but he ends up drugging Joseph with, what was it? Like
It was Benadryl.
Benadryl. Okay. So it kind of knocks Joseph out, but I mean, it's Benadryl. So it's not like it's like some, these heavy duty sleeping pills where you're sleeping through the night. It's Benadryl. It's, you're asleep, but you're going to wake up. And so he's looking for his keys. He gets, this is once Joseph is asleep. I think it's near the fireplace, and he gets his phone, and he goes to maybe search his other jacket pocket to find his keys, and the phone rings, and it's Angela, which Aaron thinks is his wife. It's not his wife. It's his sister. And she basically tells him, look, dude, you need to get out of that house now. This isn't safe for you. And of course, and Aaron already felt this way. He knew something wasn't right, and now this just has confirmed it. And so he's trying to get out, but then Joseph is nowhere to be found. And he goes out he sees the crack door on the patio, goes out there, and then there's Joseph. Joseph seems a little out of it. I think it's part of the Benadryl that you're talking about. And Aaron says, look, I know what's going on, man. And then we get this, all of a sudden Joseph bolts, runs downstairs, and then so it's just like, okay, where is he gone? What is he doing? And Aaron slowly, it's that buildup, that slow buildup of kind of tension and suspense. What is going to happen here? And then we see that, and this is a very effective, very kind of unsettling scene where we have Joseph with this wolf mask on, blocking the front door. That's creepy. And so, Aaron wants out, and then there's this, and what is Joseph doing? He's kind of some sexual thing with the door.
He's gyrating his torso.
It's just, oh man, it's uncomfortable.
Or his waist.
It's uncomfortable. There's a struggle, and the camera goes, I guess, black, and we don't know what's happened here. And then we know that Aaron got out somehow, and now he's back at home. And so we start seeing now the next,
we don't see that first. We see Joseph burying
the video,
some bags
the
of
video.
trash.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
And then we get the reveal that Aaron's okay. And then that this was a video sent by Joseph, apparently as like a message, but who knows, it could actually be a body in that bag from like a previous kill.
Yeah.
We don't know that though.
No.
And then,
because he's digging a hole, right? Digging a grave, I guess, kind of,
Well, come on, it's not a grave, dude. Like he's not paying any respect to whatever's in those bags. It's also possible he didn't even like bury that thing,
Yeah,
it was just a message to.
So he knows where Aaron lives, and Aaron's, he's scared.
And the bulk of the rest of this movie is just Joseph fucking with him and like, I don't know, just being weird, sending him videos, right?
Yeah.
Making Aaron uncomfortable in his home.
Yes.
Sending him more messages through video.
Yes.
Right.
Cops don't,
cops can't help him because he has
nothing.
He has
information.
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't have the address for him because that was a rental. I guess, okay. Well, now that I'm bringing it up, couldn't they have like seen who? I guess, okay. So if he was like squatting on that rental, I guess that would be one thing.
Oh, like it's a vacation home, and he found a house that someone doesn't frequent.
Right.
Yeah.
But otherwise, like if he like, it was like a timeshare type thing. I don't know. Like in Nevada, you can rent like,
yep. Yeah.
Like, so maybe he rented that in a name, but I guess that'd be too easy. So the movie doesn't explore that, I guess.
Yeah.
But basically he has no information. So he can't like, put like a restraining order or whatever.
Nothing.
No charges.
Doesn't have a last name. Doesn't even know if the name's real. The cops can't help him. But he gets that. He gets the one package. It's another video, and then in the box is another DVD. There's a stuffed animal. It's like a wolf, which comes, obviously because earlier on we see the Peach Fuzz wolf mask, and And inside it's inside, is it inside the wolf? Is the locket? And the locket is a picture of Joseph and Aaron. And then the inscription says J+A. Just, dude, this is, I mean.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. Especially if let's just say like Joseph was cool. Let's just say he was cool. Like this would be stepping the boundaries because they only known each other for a day. They're not best friends forever.
No.
And even like J and A, it's not necessarily a BFF thing. It's more of like a romantic thing.
Yes.
So, and Aaron at one point never says he was homosexual or anything.
No.
And even Joseph is like, okay, I have like a wife if you believe all that stuff.
Yeah.
So like, there's like so many boundaries pushings going on in this scene. And he also gives him a knife to cut open the wolf.
Oh yeah, the knife.
So like all this, like you want me to like go into the innards of the wolf. All this is really weird. And he somehow has his address. So, that's also unnerving. And you're giving him a knife. So like none of this stuff is okay, right?
No.
And then, like I think the next scene we get with Joseph. So there are like some bits of Aaron saying that he has dreams of Joseph.
Yeah,
like within like the heart shaped thing.
I was bored with that.
And that's because like it's the actor, he's not doing a great job.
It's not great.
And I think you also could have cut it, but I think the point of those scenes is that despite his best efforts, Joseph is getting under his skin. He can't stop thinking about Joseph because of how like odd everything is, right?
Yeah.
He can't even escape him in his dreams. So the next time we see Joseph is actually at Aaron's place. I think he wakes up because there's like a bang on his house somewhere.
Yeah.
And he's like freaking out. He turns on all the lights. He's got like a weapon, like a knife or something.
The
in his
knife,
hand.
I think that Joseph had sent him. I think he has that in his hand. And he's going throughout the house to see if he, and then, we know the camera's sitting stationary in Aaron's bedroom, and then it's pointed towards the door, and then we see Joseph. This was good. I liked this. I was scared by that, Yeah,
it's the dramatic irony where we know where he is. We know Joseph is actually there, but Aaron doesn't.
Yeah.
So we don't actually get a confrontation between those two this night.
Which I was surprised by. I did think we would get that in this.
Yeah, he follows noises outside, and then he sees like his upturned trash behind his house, which is weird, right? But then he goes back in. He eventually falls back asleep, and then we get the camera turns back on. Aaron is still asleep, and then we know it's Joseph, right?
Yeah.
And then he snips a bit of hair and then leaves with Aaron unharmed. So yeah, very, very weird stuff from Joseph. And then the very next scene, or not the very next scene, but later on we get a scene from Joseph, his last video, saying, "Okay, here's the beans, right? This explains everything that's going on."
Yeah.
And then can you meet me at this place? It's in a public spot. Look, I'm sorry. Just let me explain things, And and if you don't want to see me again, that's okay. But at least we'll have closure.
Now the video, it's shot during the day. It's beautiful out. It's a lake. It's okay. It's peaceful. It's a nice, it's like, okay, all right. That human side of me kicks in, and it's like, okay, well, maybe he was just, this. Joseph tells us, look, I got a problem. I don't have friends, this and that, all of these things. And do you think, let me ask you this. Do you think if Aaron doesn't show up, Joseph's done and he moves on? What do you think?
I think
because he's super invested. Joseph is like, oh my God, I'm excited about what's going to happen with this guy. And this is, do you think if Aaron doesn't show up, like, screw this, I'm done? Do you think Joseph leaves him alone?
I'm not sure about that. I think what makes Aaron so appealing to Joseph is because he keeps reciprocating Joseph. Now, if he didn't, I am curious whether or not Joseph would have pushed it some more or let it go and just saying, okay, this is now spoiled meat or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm really sorry about the meat analogy.
But but I like the analogy because it's fitting to what's happening here.
It's the more I say, the more gross I feel about it.
No, I don't. I don't think so. I think it's a good analogy because you're trying to paint a picture here,
right? From Joseph's perspective, by the way, not mine. Aaron's a human in my eyes. For
sure. Yes, of course. But when you have a psychopath and a killer, they think a certain way.
I'm not sure 100%. I think a part of me is like, okay, that's not fun for me anymore. I'm going to end it. But I don't know if ending it at that point means killing him or just letting him go.
Yeah.
So the answer is I don't know. I will say that the fun for Joseph would have ended if Aaron didn't show up for sure.
I think so. I think he would have just moved on, and it was like, how far can I push this guy? How much crap can I inflict on him and all this psychological stuff? But he still shows up, and because again, Aaron believes there's good in everyone, and that's his downfall with this, because he shows up to this park. Now, mind you, he's got the camera in his car, so he's filming everything. The scenery is very pretty. I mean, right? You have this beautiful lake, and in the foreground, you got these mountains and these houses, and it's just
background.
Oh, I'm sorry, in the foreground. Yeah,
that'd be a very interesting shot.
I know. I was thinking about in the background, you got no, that would be a pretty cool scene, huh? But in the background, you got this the mountains and the water, and it's daytime, and the sun's out, and it's
nothing bad could happen.
Nothing bad's gonna happen here. It's we're out in public and all these things, and then he's got the phone set to dial 911, and this is what I didn't understand. And again, and I know Joseph says this, but all of these things are, if this was you, let me put you in Aaron's shoes, and you go to this bench, and within, say, 6 to 8 feet is water. Okay, well, I know Joseph isn't coming out of the water. So wouldn't you have your back to the water so I can see everything that's happening, Yeah,
I would have been standing at the tree with my back to the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just waiting and looking for Joseph.
And so he looks around, doesn't see anything, and then he sits on the bench like I don't know, like everything's fine. Like there's nothing weird happening here. And then we get Joseph, who, creeps up behind him, and Aaron doesn't hear anything. Okay, all right, sure, possible, I guess. And then he slowly puts on the peach fuzz, the werewolf mask, and again, you don't hear this. I mean, none of this.
Well, I mean, it's out of the lake. I don't know, lots of noises, I'm sure.
But is there? Because, I mean, there's no one around. I mean, and there seems to be no one around where Joseph can now, grab the axe, or he has the axe in his hand, and we see the axe, and the axe, of course, we saw earlier in the film, and this slow build up to, he comes down on Aaron's head and, kills him with this. He hits him more than once, right? Hits him twice. I mean, where are the people? This is a lake. It's sunny. It's beautiful out, and it looks like there's a path and there's a bench. There's no one around. I mean, Jesus, what's the odds of that? I mean, it's, of course it's a movie, and, but,
I don't know.
But still, I don't know, man. I mean, I got my back to the lake. I know he's not coming out of the lake. This isn't some, I don't know, Friday the 13th where Jason's coming out. It's, and now but again, he's, Joseph kills him with this axe. And then we see this video footage of Joseph talking, you're my favorite because, no matter what I put you through, you thought there was good in me. And, and yeah, I mean, it's
yeah, and that's like the brilliance of the movie for me. That's what makes everything work. This tidbit at the end is kind of like the latter, like the second half of a frame narrative, but without the first half, right?
Yeah.
And that justifies the entire movie of what we're seeing, because he most likely put all the stuff together, filmed that bit, put that in at the end or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I guess there's a couple bits that don't make a lot of sense with him, like picking up the call for like Bill and showing like his armor or whatever, but who cares, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, obviously that was stupid by Aaron. But it makes sense because this entire movie is that question of just how much trust can you put in people?
Yeah.
Right. Especially when they're acting strange, and like how much benefit of a doubt can you give to a person? Obviously that's his downfall. Again, I think this movie is pretty cynical because, you have a good person like Aaron continuing to give more than he should, and then he dies for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that last scene with Joseph is kind of makes the movie for me.
It did.
It's kind of like on the nose, and it explains what's going on. but I'm okay with that just because, you know, I kind of want to see more of Joseph anyway.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see what his perspective was on everything and all that stuff. And him seeing that little bit and giving one last message to Aaron, even though he's passed on at this point,
Yeah.
kind of steals the deal from the movie. It's like a nice little period on the whole movie. It's good.
It is. You know, I did. I did like this movie. I was uncomfortable through most of it. Just not sure where it was going. We knew Joseph was a weirdo. I mean, come on, he's a weirdo. I don't want to keep saying creep because it's him, but he's a weirdo psycho. But we was just curious on where it was, you know, where it was going to end. And we knew it was going to end well for Aaron, and it didn't. But it was cool. I did. I like how they tied everything up at the end there. You know, and then he gets a phone call, and of course he's going by a different name. And then we see that what is that, like a little closet or whatever that was. It was that, and we see that there's just, I don't know, man, hundreds. I don't know if it's hundreds, but I mean, there's a lot of other people, and so he's done this for a while, you know. So, but yeah, I mean, I dug it. I like the movie. You know, I'm not a huge fan of these like found footage movies. I mean, you know, I don't know, they're whatever for me. That doesn't mean I hate them. I just whatever. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. You know, I definitely recommend it to someone who hasn't seen it. You know,
Yeah.
I'd say check it out.
Yeah, I like this movie quite a bit.
You know,
it's a good one. Have fun with it.
Yeah, definitely. Do we talk about? I think we hit everything. I don't know. Anything we left out? No.
Nope.
Cool. Well, I think that's it. That's gonna do it for today's episode of Creep. Check it out. You know, I think that's all. Everyone, take care.
I'll see you next time, guys.
Thanks again for listening. Make sure you tell everyone about our Ear for Fear podcast. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Ear for Fear. You can also check out our website, earforfear.com. There you can keep up to date on news, events, and episodes. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. We hope you come back and get an earful.